All right, ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? So today we are going to be, I don't know what that was. We're going to be talking about code switching. All right. Now, before we even get into this, the reason I think I'm someone who has the right to speak on this, and why I think if you're watching this, I can give you a few tips on this. Right, is because I work in a professional environment. Okay, what does that mean? If you work in a professional environment, you clearly have to learn how to read a room, how to talk properly, how to handle yourself amongst other professionals, right? And if you're watching this, like I always say, I'm assuming people who watch my videos are around my age or like 30 and under for the most part. So it's important in this world to learn how to talk to other people that are not from your particular group, right? So me being black, I have dreads, you know what I mean? I might fit a certain stereotype. So I already come off in a certain way. Like, I'm not gonna say that's negative or positive, but you have to recognize that, right? So especially if you're a black person, being able to code switch and read a room and make the right decisions in terms of like what you say and how you act around people is very important to your success in your career, especially in today's world. And I know a lot of people are going to comment like, are you saying you have to act white or anything like that? And that's not what I'm saying. I think again, it's more about being able to read a room. You don't have to be fake to be able to code switch, right? I think everybody code switches, even if you're a white person or any other race of person. You still have to like change the way you talk depending on who you're talking to. So it's not about acting a certain type of way, in my opinion. I think it's just about making the right decisions. Like I said, the dog gonna shake right next to me while I'm recording, and essentially just learning how to read the room right. So we're gonna get into it. I got some points here. So, like I said in the beginning, I think the main reason why I even wanted to make this video, which is sort of unrelated to what I normally talk about when it comes to like money and all of those things, is because the only way you can make money is if you have a good job, right? Just starting out. Like, of course, there are other ways to make money, but you can't really invest or do anything else with money until you have income to do so with, right? So the reason I wanted to make this video, is to sort of like related to the money topics that I always talk about, but in the sense of like the way you get to the point where you can even get to paying your debt off and you have high income, etc., is by being able to read the room, right? So society, this is what I want to say. I think society, if you're a black person especially, but if you're just a young man in general nowadays, the world is pretty against us, and not like in an outright sense like they're discriminating against young men, but I think it's more so how just you're perceived initially, especially like I said, I have dreads, so just how you're perceived initially can determine a lot, right? And how you go off of that definitely determines a lot. So if you're able to read a room properly, you're able to control your first impression. Like that's what I have here. Reading a room gives you control over first impressions. It helps you being misjudged or stereotyped, and it gives you leverage in places where the rules aren't built for you. So in a corporate environment, if you're working with a whole bunch of people that are not from your group, not your culture, it's hard to relate to them. You have to understand that, and you have to really make an effort to, again, not be fake, not be beyond yourself, but adapt. If you come from the hood, you talk a certain way. You know what I mean? How I'm talking right now, I'm using like more slang. I might have cursed a few times. I don't know if I did. I don't talk like this at work, obviously. Like I still have the same tone. I still sound the same, but I'm not gonna talk in this matter or this manner at work because it's just about where you are and what you're doing, right? So to summarize all of that, I think that's why it matters. It gives you leverage in places where the rules aren't built for you. And as a young man in this world, I don't give a fuck. I don't care what skin color you are. Like we're already perceived as like arrogant, rude. I mean, not most. Some young men are like that, which is why I guess young Gen Z men have that reputation. But you don't want to be a part of that reputation, right? So that's that. Next point, relationships in this world, and this is like the second point that I want to make as to why this is important. Relationships in this digital cryptocurrency AI world we live in is currency now, right? So opportunities in this world come from people, not resumes. And it's always been like that to an extent, of course. But when you zoom out and look at how the world really works nowadays, jobs are so much more competitive, even amongst college graduates. Like I think there are stats showing how college graduates are struggling to find jobs at rates they've never struggled before, right? So the only way you're gonna be able to find a nice high paying job, especially if you're a fresh college graduate, is if you're doing internships, you're building connections, you have to know people. And part of doing those things is being able to read the room. It's a fire truck riding by. You gotta read the room. Part of being able to do those things is being able to read the room to begin with. If you wanna get the internship, you have to be able to pass the interview. You have to be able to talk properly during the interview and have skills. You know what I mean? Make yourself stand out. All of these things come from communicating properly. Excuse me, and being able to read a room. And that starts at a young age, right? What else did I say here? If you only can communicate one way, you limit who you can connect with. And as you get older, this only becomes more of a problem because past a certain point, you have to expand your network. You have to talk to other people. The world is connected now, right? It's not like 50 years ago where you only really had to talk to the people in your community and, people were self sufficient and all of those things. No. In this world, you have to be able to talk to other people. You have to get out there. And again, all of this comes with being able to code switch and being able to talk properly when you need to. And then I think the point that relates to these two is that when you don't learn this skill of code switching that I'm speaking of, you fall behind as a young man. You get labeled as difficult, unprofessional, not a good fit. You miss out on opportunities, like I said, internships, etc., things that can benefit you. You miss out because you weren't properly prepared for them. You didn't know how to talk. You didn't know how to dress. You didn't know how to carry yourself. And I think young black men struggle with this a lot because the whole YN archetype is very prevalent amongst the under 25 community for black men. So as a result, if you're coming there dressed a certain way, you got ripped jeans on, you got a hoodie, a ski mask on top of your head, like all of these things are just like a lack of awareness for the most part. And you have to be, again, I'm going to keep reiterating the same point. You have to be able to code switch if you want to elevate. If you want to stay in the hood and be with the same hood dudes every day your whole life, then so be it. You don't have to code switch. You could just, stay talking how you talk every single day and just dress how you dress every day. Do the same things every single day. But once you start leaving your environment and expanding your network, you're going to have to learn how to code switch. You're going to have to learn how to talk to other people. And the beauty in this is that you're probably thinking, bro, why would I want to do all of that? Because, like I said, it gives you freedom. It gives you opportunities to expand your network and to move around. If you only know how to move in one environment, right? Like, I'm trying to give an analogy for animal. What can I think? I don't even know. If you only know how to operate in one environment, right? If you never tested yourself, if you've never been trained like a fighter, if you only been training for one jab or some shit and somebody hit you with a left kick, you're not going to know how to block it. And that might not really make sense in this sense that we're talking about with the social like setting and whatnot. But if you're like a black dude and you only been in the hood your whole life, what if somebody's trying to get you a job somewhere, but you don't know how to interview? You don't have the interview skills. You don't have the attire that you need to dress up. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have a car. Like, these are, and that's not really related to code switching, but these are all things that play into how you operate in certain environments, right? And if you don't ever get the opportunity to do so because you don't know how to code switch, because you're too afraid to go to the interview, because you're too afraid to talk to somebody that doesn't look like you, you're going to stay stuck. And that's why I'm saying, like, for me personally, again, I come from the hood, as you like to say, or whatnot. I didn't grow up in like a rich house. So I had to go to college, got my degree in accounting, and obviously I was getting like the only black person in my accounting degree or class, like towards the graduation, right? So as a result, I learned at a like fairly young age, like around 18, 19, after I left high school, I was like, okay, if I'm gonna be in this field, if I'm gonna be around these people, I have to clearly learn how to get along with them and like talk to them. And it's not like I didn't talk to white people. I had like one white friend in high school type shit, but like I was cool with everybody. Like, I know how to talk to people regardless, but I'm saying it's even more so important how you do it and how you come across to people when you're trying to elevate, right? So that's pretty much what I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna give you guys some tips real quick. So I think the main thing that you should take away from this, if you're watching this and you thinking like, damn, he talking to me right now, I struggle with talking to people. I don't know how to like articulate myself in the right way. I get nervous at interviews, all of those things. I'm too scared to take the next step and get a better job because I don't really know what to do. You have to just, number one, have self-awareness, right? I think a lot of young men have a lack of self-awareness, and this lack of self-awareness is what causes you to say or behave or do certain things around certain people that you probably shouldn't be doing, and you don't even realize it because you just have a lack of awareness. You think what you're doing is okay. So number one, develop a sense of awareness, because if you don't have a sense of awareness, you can never get to the part where you're learning how to code switch. You're not even going to realize what you're saying for the most part. So become self-aware and study people. You don't always have to talk. You can just watch what people say, watch what people do, take notes. If you're in those environments, look at how the people around you talk. For the most part, if you really wanted the cheat code, just mimic what the people around you do. Like, look at the person who is getting positive reviews from like the job or the whatever environment you're in. And you could just, if you see a nigga at the gym getting buff, you could just watch what he does, do the same thing. You're probably gonna get bigger too. You know what I mean? So it's just like talking. If you watch, if you study good people, people who know how to talk, if you study them, you can pick up on their habits. And if we're talking about being in certain environments, you can just study how the people interact. What do they say? What do they do? How do they dress? You know, eye contact, mannerisms, all of these things you can pick up on, but you have to put yourself out there in the first place and not be afraid to enter those environments and be vulnerable. So that's what I want you to take away from this video. That was a lot. Not really. This is only 10 minutes, so I'm gonna just wrap it up there. Peace out, y'all boys. We out.